You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
country called the USA, and we fly our flag cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. So glad to be back with you. We've missed a couple of weeks, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get Seymour, the intern, to hold up a couple of more windows because we got more glass to break. Get it up, Seymour, higher. All right, get the next one. Next one. There we go. Okay, that makes up for the 2 weeks we missed. First of all, got to say it's good to be back. Second of all, I want to tell you, sit right here with us all night long. Prime time on KLRN Radio on Wednesday, the grand slam of conservative talk radio. You're going to kick it off right here with your leadoff man, the Grouch. Coming up next, Jesse's POV, Power Slot, Constitution and Culture, and then the cleanup man, Rowdy Rick, with America Off the Rails. Like I said, it is the grand slam. You don't want to miss it. Stay right here. Get your knowledge on. So,
not to cut you off, but Constitution and Culture has been discontinued. Starting in 2 weeks, Dan will be doing his own show in that slot.
Well, there you go, folks. See, that's what happens when you miss 2 weeks. You don't know what's going on. But thank you for doing that, Rick. Good to know. Okay, so what are we running in that slot tonight?
Not sure.
Not sure. Potpourri. Gonna have a what do they call it? A pinch hitter. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a pinch hitter in this third slot tonight. Stay tuned. You'll like it anyway. Anyway, okay, so we got buttloads upon metric buttloads to talk about here. I could spend 3 hours easily talking about everything that's going on right now, but we don't have that. We have 1 hour. And we're going to cram a lot into it, and we're not going to cover everything, and we're going to all be okay with it. So what did I choose tonight to kick off the show with? Well, I chose one of the not so exciting stories, but very important stories. I chose Judge Neil Gorsuch and his nomination to the Supreme Court. So the Democrats are screaming like crazy over the Senate Republicans' plans to, in the words of Minority Leader Senator Chuck E. Schumer, break the rules on the filibuster, refuse to accept the role they played, according to supporters of U.S. Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Now, Leonard Leo, who's an advisor to President Trump on judicial appointments, noted in a conference call with reporters on Tuesday that it was former Democratic Senate leader Harry Reid who eliminated the filibuster for all appointees except the Supreme Court in 2013. Even before that, he added, it was Democrats who fired the first salvo in the escalating war over the courts, going all the way back to the 1980s. I know some of you may not have even known what a court was back in the 80s, but some of us did. So Leo says that they should basically be looking in the mirror rather than pointing a finger at the nuclear option. Schumer has succeeded in corralling enough Democrats to sustain a filibuster against Gorsuch, a judge who won unanimous bipartisan confirmation to the Denver-based 10th U.S. Circuit of Appeals and has earned widespread praise in legal circles from across the spectrum. The move is unprecedented. Only one successful filibuster has been mounted against a Supreme Court nominee, and that was in 1969 when the filibuster against Abe Fortas was bipartisan with 24 Republicans and 19 Democrats, and based on ethics concerns. Okay? So apparently Abe Fortas did not earn the nickname Honest Abe. But in lieu of having any ethics concerns with Gorsuch, let's take a quick dive into his record, okay? Because Neil Gorsuch has sat in on something like 3,000 rulings. It's pretty close, give or take a few, that he's been involved with. And it reveals a solid, predictable, conservative philosophy. Now, this is something that President Trump was hopefully attuned to when he nominated him to fill the open ninth seat. The record in many ways mirrors the late Justice Antonin Scalia's approach to constitutional and statutory interpretation. And the Colorado natives' flair for colorful opinion writing is much in the mold of Scalia, whose sharp pen and wicked wit delighted conservatives and whose seat Gorsuch would fill if confirmed. So as Gorsuch wrote back in 2015, quote, "Ours is not supposed to be the government of the Hunger Games with power centralized in one district, but a government of diffused and divided power, the better to prevent its abuse." And I like that. Okay, that takes us towards the concept of small government, enumerated powers, states' rights, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Judge Harris Hartz, who has served on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th District in Denver since 2001, he's been there since Gorsuch joined that court in 2006. Hartz disputed criticism from liberal advocacy groups and Democrats in Congress that Gorsuch's conservative approach to judicial decision-making means he's bad news for women, people of color, the LGBT community, and the environment, among some others. Hartz said he's conservative in the sense that he takes the language of statutes very seriously. But if by conservative you mean that you always get a conservative outcome, that's wrong, Hartz said. Now, going back to Leonard Leo, who is on loan to the White House from his job as executive vice president of the Federalist Society, and you'll hear more about them hopefully on KLRN in the future, Leo said Democrats first began ratcheting up opposition to a Republican-appointed judge in 1984. That effort culminated with the successful defeat of Robert Bork, then President Reagan's Supreme Court pick in 1987. Then in the 2000s, for the first time in either party, Senate Democrats began using the filibuster to block appellate court nominees. It was really the left and the Democrats who started this fire, Leo said. Now, Martin Gold, who's a partner at Capitol Counsel and an expert in Senate procedure, he told reporters that the long history of the filibuster includes almost no instances in which it was even contemplated as a tool to block nominations. He noted the Senate added a rule in 1917 to allow senators to cut off debate with a certain number of votes. In 1949, Gold said, the Senate amended the rule again to apply the so-called cloture rule to all debatable matters, not just actual legislation. Both times, he said, nominations never came up in discussion. There's not one mention of the word nomination because there was no history of filibustering nominations. Gold said the Democrats were big fans of requiring 60 votes for judicial nominees when George W. Bush was president, and changed the filibuster rule when Barack Obama was president, making nominations. As for Gorsuch himself, I think he summed up the nature of his background best when he made his opening statements to the Senate in his confirmation hearing. After listening to 4 hours of people berate him and others praise him, Gorsuch said, "I've ruled for disabled students, for prisoners, for the accused, for workers alleging civil rights violations, and for undocumented immigrants. Sometimes, too, I've ruled against such persons. My decisions have never reflected a judgment about the people before me, only a judgment about the law and facts and issues in each particular case. A good judge can promise no more than that, and a good judge should guarantee no less." I don't know about you, but this sounds like my kind of guy. I wasn't sold on him early on. Okay, I'll admit I had somebody else in mind for this seat that would have been a much harder confirmation. But what I can tell you is if the Democrats are willing to burn this bridge and try to filibuster Gorsuch and invoke and risk the nuclear option being invoked by McConnell and the rest of the GOP Senate, if there's another appointee, the Democrats are really going to be hosed, because I can almost promise you at this point the next one's going to be Bill Pryor. And if you don't know who Judge Bill Pryor is, you should look him up, because if you think they're having a duck now, wait till he gets nominated. Now, if the Democrats are successful with this filibuster, which they won't be, and we'll get into why in just a little bit, they may just be inviting their worst nightmare into the nomination game. Well, here you go. And this is Leo continuing. I can think of judges that were on the short list that are far more rigidly conservative in nature and legal interpretation than Gorsuch that Trump could have nominated. Yeah, there you go. And as for the comical notion that Chuck Schumer put forward about the Democrats helping out in the
Jake, can you hear me? Because you're not broadcasting.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
All right. Well, I don't know what the heck happened there, but there's definitely been some crazy-ass storms in this part of the country today and back on Monday, so there's no telling what's going on up the line. Bear with me. We'll back up. We'll do a quick little bit here. I think we made it to the part where we ended Gorsuch's quote, but, Schumer had this comical notion that the Democrats should be able to help pick the judge. Now, what the hell's he thinking? Where was this gushing of bipartisanship when Obama was nominating justices to the Supreme Court, huh? It's not like they were reaching out to Republicans saying, help us nominate somebody that you like. Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. So anyway, what we talked about a little while ago, where was it? When we were talking about the filibuster, and I said that they very likely would not succeed. Well, there was an update after I had the show written that came out this morning about 6 o'clock Eastern time. So I was just getting up out of bed, which make it 5 o'clock my time. Yeah, I'm an early riser, whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyway, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is claiming that he has the votes necessary to thwart a planned Democratic filibuster of President Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominee as a showdown draws near that could change the Senate and the court for generations. They seem determined to head into the abyss, the Kentucky Republicans said of the Democrats as debate began Tuesday over Gorsuch's nomination. They need to reconsider. Democrats made clear they had no plans to do so and blamed Republicans for pushing them to attempt a nearly unheard of filibuster of a qualified Supreme Court pick. See, now here's where I have the problem. Okay. They're admitting that he's qualified. They're admitting that he's qualified. So the only opposition is because Trump picked him. That's it. That's all they have. This is Trump's pick, and we're mad. Me. Bunch of pissy pants babies. So anyway, the Democrats made it clear they had no plans to back down and blamed Republicans for pushing them to attempt a nearly unheard of filibuster. 44 Democrats intend to vote against proceeding to final confirmation on Gorsuch, which would be enough to block him under the Senate's existing parliamentary rules that require 60 votes to advance a nomination. But McConnell intends to act unilaterally with the rest of the 51 other members of the GOP Senate conference and change the rules to eliminate the 60-vote threshold so that it would require just a simple majority to install Gorsuch on the high court bench, as well as all future Supreme Court nominees. Asked if he has the votes to do that, given misgivings voiced by many Republicans, McConnell answered simply, yes. Democrats tried mightily to keep the focus on Republicans' plans to change Senate rules rather than on their own plans to obstruct a nominee who would likely have gotten onto the court easily with no filibuster in earlier and less contentious political times. See, that's what they don't want to talk about, what they're doing, only the other side. And to dramatize their position, they gave speeches holding the Senate into session well into the early morning hours Wednesday, appearing before a poster-sized portion of the Constitution with the words, "We the people," prominently displayed. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon held the floor at length. I think he went 15 hours today, offering critiques of some of Gorsuch's decisions as a federal appellate court judge to push his party's views. Schumer said Senator McConnell would have the world believe that his hands are tied, that the only option after Gorsuch doesn't earn 60 votes is to break the rules, to change the rules. That could not be further from the truth. In fact, a Senate rules change does not appear to be the lone route that Republicans have to put Gorsuch on the court. And despite claims from Schumer and others that Trump and Republicans could go back to the drawing board and come up with a more mainstream nominee, it seems unlikely that any nominee produced by Trump would win Democrats' approval. And that's pretty much what it's boiling down to. They're just whining and peeing in their pants. On Tuesday evening, McConnell filed a cloture motion, the procedural step designed to end the debate on a nomination and bring it to a final vote. That started the clock toward a showdown on Thursday, when Democrats are expected to try to block Gorsuch, at which point Republicans would respond by enacting the rules change. The change is known on Capitol Hill as the nuclear option because of the potential repercussions for the Senate and the Supreme Court. And quite frankly, if all 100 of these Senate members knew how to behave like adults, it wouldn't be called the nuclear option. But we live in what we live in, and we get what we get because we're the idiots that keep sending these morons back. For the Senate, it would mean that Supreme Court nominees in the future could get on the court with no assent from the minority party, potentially leading to a more ideologically polarized court. More immediately, Gorsuch's confirmation to fill the vacancy on the court created by the death of Justice Antonin Scalia 14 months ago would restore the conservative voting majority that existed before Scalia's death and could persist or grow for years to come. As for the Senate, lawmakers of both parties bemoaned the further erosion of their traditions of bipartisanship and consensus. Some were already predicting that they would end up eliminating the 60-vote requirement for legislation as well as nominations, but McConnell pledged Tuesday that this would not happen on his watch. He drew a distinction between legislation being filibustered and the filibuster being used against nominees, something that is a more recent development. Gorsuch now counts 55 supporters in the Senate and 52 Republicans, including McConnell, along with 3 moderate Democrats from states that President Trump won last November, and that would be Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, and Joe Donnelly of Indiana. A 4th Senate Democrat, Michael Bennet from Colorado, has said he will not join the filibuster against Gorsuch, but has not said how he will vote on final passage. So we got Neil Gorsuch, 49 years old. He's a 10-year veteran of the Federal Appeals Court in Denver, where he's compiled a highly consistent record. I'm not going to call it a conservative record because it's really not. It's only conservative to the people that just can't stand anything that doesn't bleed left. He has a highly consistent record that's led Democrats to complain that he too often sides with corporations without regard to the humanity of the plaintiffs before him. Well, here's an idea. Maybe if you don't like how judges are ruling on how the laws are written, propose some new legislation and pass some new laws. I mean, really, this is not that hard, folks. So anyway, that's the deal with Gorsuch going on, and so now you know where we're at. Filibuster all through today. Look for the cloture vote tomorrow. I think Republicans are going to pull the trigger, and I think by the end of the week we have Gorsuch confirmed as a Supreme Court justice. Now we're at the bottom of the hour. I know we lost the connection and had to take a short break earlier, but we need to go ahead and burn the regular commercial break right now. And when we come back, we're going to continue talking about some things like the unmasking of some names. Yeah, that's next up. So stay tuned right here to KLRN Radio, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
Absolutely. What a great cause. Valkyrie Initiative. If you don't know about it, look it up. We don't have time to talk about it right now tonight, but we will in the future, and hopefully we'll be able to get somebody on to tell us a whole lot more about it in the very near future, because I, as a veteran, am excited to hear about it. But anyway, welcome back to KLRN Radio's Wednesday night Grand Slam of conservative talk. Good to be with you. Been out for a while. Had some fun. Had a little work. You know, kind of one of those things. You got to have it both ways. But anyway, Seymour is walking across the studio. He's carrying the glass. He doesn't even know this. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Nailed it. Anyway, normally, a scoop in Washington, D.C. moves the speed of light inside the media echo chamber, spreading the original story across the country. But Monday's report by Bloomberg News that former National Security Advisor Susan Rice unmasked the names of President Donald Trump's associates whose identities had been disguised in surveillance reports fell largely on deaf ears. The investigations continue, but particularly on the House side, there are now questions coming from both Democrats and Republicans about how bipartisan this investigation can be. Except when news organizations attempted, easy for me to say, to knock the story down. CNN's extraordinarily biased Chris Cuomo on Tuesday called it, quote, another fake scandal being peddled by right-wing media. Jim Sciutto, CNN's chief national security correspondent and also an Obama appointee on foreign policy issues, who has worked quite closely with Susan Rice in the past, appeared Monday night on Anderson Vanderbilt 360 to read a statement from, quote, someone close to Rice, end quote, denying any wrongdoing. He then accused the Trump administration of manufacturing a non-story in order to divert attention from possible nefarious links between Russia and the Trump campaign. For good measure, he took a shot at House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, who went public with the information he uncovered that Trump associates had been improperly unmasked. And again, by senior intelligence officials who work for both Democrats and Republicans, this appears to be a story largely ginned up, partly as a distraction from this larger investigation, said Sciutto. But I will say, he continued, and you are aware of this, the investigations continue, but particularly on the House side, there are now questions coming from both Democrats and Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Tim Graham, director of media analysis, the conservative-leaning Media Research Center, noted Sciutto is not exactly a neutral observer. No kidding. He reiterated his Obama administration appointment working on foreign affairs. They talked about him working in conjunction with Rice, said the media in general cast themselves as truth seekers who sift through competing lines offered by Republicans and Democrats, when in fact they don't do that. They line up right on the middle of the Democratic line and they stay there. Now, Graham said the tone of coverage almost certainly would have been different if reporters learned that officials in the outgoing Bush administration had unmasked names of the people associated with the Obama campaign in 2008. As for the current story, he said an unbiased media would investigate the possibility of collusion between Trump associates and Russia while also reporting on overreach by Obama officials. He's absolutely correct, people. This is not an either-or situation. Both of these things can happen, okay? Both can happen. On Tuesday, CNN anchor Allison Camerata, God help us, tried to get Senator John McCain to discredit the Rice story. Even McCain, one of the president's harshest Republican critics, isn't prepared to go there. You see, in the end, it's not just a question of whether or not there was collusion between Trump's campaign and Russia leading to the election, or did Susan Rice illegally unmask and subsequently leak said info. If there is cause to look into both, then both should be looked into, and diligently so. Evidence should be gathered, not fabricated. If someone is guilty in either case, it should be brought to light, and there will be factual evidence and not just finger-pointing outrage over accusations that can't be proven. Or as the legal adage goes, folks, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court that matters. Now, there's a lot going on with this story that we have yet to find out about. They're saying that the intelligence community is being quite slow with turning over the unmasking request itself, and there does have to be a request in writing signed by the person making the request. Now, here's the other thing, okay? If you were lucky enough to read Andrew McCarthy's National Review piece on this today, McCarthy was talking about how there's a distinction in what Susan Rice did and what the actual intelligence community does in regards to these recordings. Okay, so when they get a recording, say they're listening in on a Russian ambassador. This Russian ambassador is going to talk to literally hundreds and hundreds of Americans, business deals, political deals, whatever going on. Okay, they're talking to people here in the United States. They're here in the United States, most likely, and we're listening in. Okay, but what happens is those Americans, they show up on the recording as American Citizen 1 and American Citizen 2 and American Citizen 3 and so on and so forth. Their names are not known. Now, there are intelligence analysts that listen to these conversations, and these are intelligence experts. Okay, this is what they do for a living. If they feel that the person that the Russian ambassador is talking to has to have their identity known to better understand what's being talked about, then a request goes in to have that unmasked. Okay? And what they do is they unmask that identity and they pass it along to someone like a Susan Rice, a national security advisor. Okay? Now, if Susan Rice were to get a report, and this is what happened, she doesn't ask, allegedly. The reports are sent to her. She doesn't request reports, according to her. Again, according to the woman that lied to the world, blaming Benghazi on a YouTube video for the Obama administration, the National Security Advisor doesn't request any reports. They are forwarded to them, that position. So if they're reading a report and it says that ambassador was talking to American Citizen 1, and this is the conversation they had, that while within her legal right, it's not normal, nor would it be considered ethical for her to request an unmasking. Because the intelligence analysts break this down to a consumer level. So she is not an intelligence expert. She is a consumer of intelligence. So what they're telling her is, you don't need to know this person's name. Everything you need to know is in this report. So if she indeed requested unmasking, there's no other reason it could be than for political purposes. Again, I'm not saying she did it. I'm saying we have to dig those requests out of the intelligence community and find out whose name is on them. We have things to do that we have to find out. This investigation will continue. And like the man said, just because one investigation is ongoing doesn't mean there can't be a second one. If there's evidence that the Trump campaign somehow colluded with the Russians, which many Democrats have already said they have no evidence of, so be it. Investigate it. Prosecute the guilty. That's what the laws are for. No one's above them. No one. But to just say that this is a non-issue, non-story, and to dismiss it and not even cover it, for shame. Again, the coincidence of ABC being the network that got the names that were unmasked when her husband is the executive producer there. Nod, nod, wink, wink. Just saying, whatever. It comes up, but it also comes around. Now, the other thing that happened today that, and we have to talk about this. The death toll from a suspected chemical attack on a northern Syrian town rose to 72 today, while activists and rescue workers kept finding more terrified survivors hiding in shelters near the site of the harrowing assault, one of the deadliest in years in Syria's civil war. According to a Syrian opposition group, renewed airstrikes hit the town of Khan Sheikhoun a day after the attack that the Trump administration has blamed on the government of President Bashar al-Assad, saying that his patrons, Russia and Iran, bore great moral responsibility for the deaths. The UN Security Council was to hold an emergency meeting today in response to the strike, and in Brussels, officials from 70 nations gathered for a major donors conference on the future of Syria and the region. Now, here's what I want to know. What good is the UN doing? Syria's been in civil war for how many years? And what's the UN done other than point fingers and say, stop it, play nice? What a useless organization. Anyway, the attack on Khan Sheikhoun killed dozens of people on
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
All right, sorry about that. Definitely having some Mother Nature problems still up the line somewhere. That fiber optic cable is getting rattled and shaken. We're going to finish out the show here. We got a few minutes left. So we got this attack with the useless UN going on. Useless UN pointing fingers, saying, "Stop, play nice, everybody behave, hold hands, sing kumbaya," whatever. This is a serious situation, folks. And I mean, we're talking about residents convulsing in the streets, overcrowded hospitals. Videos from the scene showed volunteer medics using fire hoses to wash the chemicals from victims' bodies. Haunting images of lifeless children piled in heaps reflected the magnitude of the attack, which was reminiscent of a 2013 chemical assault that left hundreds dead and was the worst in the country's ruinous 6-year conflict. Syrian doctors said a combination of toxic gases is suspected to have been released during the airstrikes, causing the high death toll and severe symptoms. It's bad enough that the Pope chimed in during his general audience that was watching with horror at the latest events in Syria. He said he strongly deplored the unacceptable massacre. And if you know anything about this Pope, those are some pretty strong words from him. Now, earlier, President Trump denounced the attack as a heinous act that cannot be ignored by the civilized world. German Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel called on Russia to endorse a planned Security Council resolution condemning the attack. British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said all the evidence he has seen so far in the latest chemical weapons attack in Syria suggests this was the Assad regime that did it, in the full knowledge that they were using illegal weapons in a barbaric attack on their own people. Now, here's the thing. I don't even think that Assad, because you know, I don't know how much you folks know about Syria, but Syria, even though in the Middle East, is not what's known as a quote-unquote Muslim country. There are Muslims that live there, but Bashar al-Assad is largely non-religious. I mean, really, he just doesn't care. People are pretty much free to practice whatever religion they want, and he just has them warring amongst themselves and leave him alone. So, you know, this is not him saying you can't practice a religion. This is not him saying you will practice a religion. This is just him saying, don't complain about me or I'll kill you. And that's what it boils down to with Assad. This is all about power. This is not religious agenda. This is nothing more than him staying in power. So Syria's government denied it carried out any chemical attack, but early on Wednesday, Russia, a major ally of the Syrian government, alleged a Syrian airstrike hit a rebel arsenal, releasing the toxic agents. The Russian Defense Minister spokesman, Major General Igor Konashenkov, said in a statement that Russian military assets registered the strike on a weapons depot and ammunition factory on the town's eastern outskirts. Konashenkov said the factory produced chemical weapons that were used in Iraq. Interesting. Wednesday's renewed airstrikes hit not far from the location of the suspected chemical attack, and Ahmad al-Sheikho of the Idlib Civil Defense Team said the strikes did not cause any casualties because the area had been evacuated following Tuesday's attack. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 20 children and 17 women were among the 72 killed. Abu Hamdu, a senior member of the Syrian Civil Defense in Khan Sheikhan, said his group has recorded 70 deaths. He said his team of rescuers was still finding survivors, including 2 women and a boy hiding in an underground shelter beneath their home today. Now, this is crazy over there. Trump actually blew his stack over this when he was meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan today. I expect something's going to happen here soon, and this is not going to be something that Trump really wants to do, but I think his hand is going to be forced. We shall see. But we have to touch on this last subject real quick. I know I'm running tight on time, but most young Americans want any health care overhaul under President Trump to look a lot like the Affordable Care Act signed into law by his predecessor, Barack Obama. There's one big exception. A majority of young Americans dislike Obamacare's requirement that all Americans buy insurance or pay a fine. Now, the poll was conducted by Gen Forward, and they say that a majority of people ages 18 to 30, so we'll call them young adults, think the federal government should be responsible for making sure Americans have health insurance. It suggests most young Americans won't be content with a law offering access to coverage, as Trump and Republicans in Congress proposed in their legislation that they dropped on March 24th. The Trump administration is talking this week of somehow reviving the legislation. Now, the poll conducted February 16th through March 6th, before the collapse of the GOP bill, showed that 63% of young Americans approve of the Obama-era health care law. Well, largely because they weren't paying for it yet. It did not measure reactions to the Republican proposal. The most popular element of the law is allowing young people to stay on their parents' insurance until the age of 26, which is favored by 75% of the 18 to 30-year-olds. And it's not just that they personally benefit. An Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs research poll conducted in January found that provision was almost equally popular among all adults. Well, of course, they don't want their kids going without. That proposal was included in the failed GOP overhaul. But the Republican plan also contained provisions that most young Americans, the racially diverse electorate of the future, do not support, according to the poll. 2/3 of young people agree with a smaller majority of Americans overall that the government should make sure people have health care coverage, and they understand that will cost more. Well, of course they understand that, because they're not paying for it yet. 63% want the government to increase spending to help people afford insurance. What the bloody hell? Those feelings cut across racial lines that include most whites who formed the base of Trump's political support in the presidential election. Rachel Haney, 27, of Tempe, Arizona, said, "I do believe the government should offer it because we pay taxes. I do feel like it's a right." But it's not, sweetheart. Get used to it. Gen Forward is a survey of adults ages 18-30 by the Black Youth Project at the University of Chicago with the AP NORC Center. The poll pays special attention to the voices of young adults of color, highlighting how race and ethnicity shape the opinions of a new generation. Only about a quarter of the young people want Obamacare repealed. That includes 16% of young adults who want it repealed and replaced, as Trump has vowed, and another 10% who want it repealed without a replacement. Those are the smart ones. Just over a third of young whites want to see the law repealed, making them more likely than those of other racial and ethnic groups to say so. He just wants to protect us from Al-Qaeda and terrorism, said Kervin Dorsenavel, 18 years old, a computer technician from Port Charlotte, Florida, which means he works the help desk at Best Buy. I feel like healthcare should be much higher on the list. I feel like we have the resources, the medical technology, and everything in place to provide the health care to the people. So why wouldn't we do that? Well, I don't know. Let's ask a doctor, okay? We're going to find one and bring them on the show. We're going to continue this discussion at another date. But right now, we're at the top of the hour. It's time for Jesse's POV. I'm your Grouch right here on KLRN Radio, thanking you for being here. God bless you. We'll see you next week for show number 95 on the way to 100.